last session for our conference, comprising 8 presenters, 8 papers, and as you know, the rules and regulations as far as the presenters is concerned, you should abide very strictly. One of the things that I have to remind that you have only 10 plus 5 minutes, 15 minutes. So your presentation will last 10 minutes plus 5 minutes Q&A if any. So I will not tolerate any even 1 second. All right. So you know what I mean. So shall we start with the first presenter, first paper by Fan Min. P70.
I'm here.
Oh, you are there. All right, very good. Just take the stage up there here straight away. The title of the paper is Student Learning and Engagement with Emerging Technologies in the EFL Classroom in China, a case study. And I will be sitting here all the time to save a lot of time. And this is the first session where the chairperson is okay. All right. Have a nice afternoon here and get started, please. Thank you.
Well, I do not know where is my the flash slides, so it sounds like it's the first section. Let me check where is the second.
So I also don't know about that, really. Where is our technician? Can you please help our presenter to start off with the presentation?
Yes. So this is just the first part.
Okay.
This is
Just adjusting the camera.
This part. Sorry,
Hang on.
I
It's
prefer
okay,
not
it's
to touch the computer because I do not find where is mine. Yeah, sorry. So these two of them are not this group.
So penalty will be given for those who does not abide with the regulation. All right. Okay. Try to save as much time as possible. Yeah. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Fanny. Today, I and my co-authors is going to share our findings entitled Students Learning Engagement with Emerging Technologies, EFL Classroom. As we all know, English is becoming an international language, and during the COVID-19, quality and sustainable learning environment become the core of the day. So there is a requirement for us to do the investigate on the extent of the use of technology for teaching and learning in English classroom. Now please look at the right hand. It's the top buzzword of 2022. In education, we can know nearly all the words related to the emerging technologies such as online learning, hybrid classroom, and extended reality. So this research will be conducted by the following 4 research objectives. To determine the most frequently used learning platform, to investigate the students' perspective of emerging technology with regard to learner-to-learner interaction, learner-to-instructor interaction, and learner-to-content interaction, and how emerging technology enhance students' online learning. This is a descriptive research design was stated in a public university in China involving 160 second-year EFL students. The data was collected by survey online questionnaire validity and reliability was established. Data analysis by SPSS, ethical consideration also take in mind. So look at the first research question. The most frequently used learning platform employed by students. We can see from this map, the most frequently used learning platform in China, EFL Classroom, were Tencent Meeting, 学习通 and Dingding Classroom. On the other hand, the least used learning platform were Coursera, Weibo, and the personal website. The similar results were recorded in these studies. Also, now look at the second research question, EFL students' perspective of emerging technology. We can see the average score for this part. The mean score is 4.75, indicating that students held a positive perception towards the integration of technology as a teaching and learning tool. We still notice that this part, students still regarded emerging technologies integrated into teaching and learning brought about innovation and creativities and foster better collaboration. On the other hand, students still mentioned they still meet some challenges, such as limited infrastructures and some unpredictable factors, like poor internet connection and unstable power. For the research question, students' perspective of emerging technology, we noticed that the majority of students, 41.25% of them, cost 1 to 2 hours per day for online distance learning. Another finding from this part, we divided from the three aspects: student to content, student to instructor, and student to student parts. We can see the mean score for student content received the highest mean score, that is 4.9, and the following two received 4.82. So I think there is no obvious difference between these three factors which influence the student learning engagement. Students think the three parts are all equally important. This finding is still confirmed by this research here. So now look at the last research question: how emerging technology enhance EFL students' learning experience? Please look at the word cloud. We think students think the supervisory guidance is pretty important here, and they still think that the emerging technology enhance communicating skill, and the emerging technology make them be more autonomous in taking responsibility and control over their learning. The learning time become much more flexibility, and the learning material become much more. They receive the research learning resources, and their learning be more enjoyable and efficient. So, excuse me, I think there is one page I missed. Sorry for this part. I will move back quickly for the literature review. This is very important in my speech, but just now there's some problem. From the literature review, we found that the quality learning environment, which enables success in 21st classroom, requires the engagement with technology. So that is the reason why I do this research. In this study, the emerging technology refer to what? Refer to the technology platform and tools that have embarrassed in the teaching and learning process over the last decade. What learner engagement means? It refers to students' degree of involvement and commitment to their study. So according to the literature review, we know the learning engagement can be reviewed from the following three aspects. Just now I mentioned to you, from the student to student aspect, student to content aspect, and student to teacher aspect. So the purpose of this study is to investigate what kind of emerging technology tools were employed and to what extent would they are engaged. So I got this kind of research here. The most popular tools we use in China, and then I just share this part to you. The three different kind of interactions. There is no difference. Yeah. So so that is the research question. That to say how students how students view this kind of technology. It is useful or not. They have a positive aspect. So now look at please look at the last slide of my presentation. We can see learner engagement enhance. Students think learner engagement enhance learning process. And the most frequently used platform in Chinese EFL classroom were Tencent Meeting, 学习通, and Dingding Classroom. And the students still think that emerging technology encourage positive interaction in the three following aspects: learner to content, learner to learner, and learner to teacher. And the finding still implicate that integrate technology to make teaching and learning fun, creative, and engaging for successful learning games. The implication also tell us it is necessary for us to provide training instructors emerging technology tools in order to fit the requirement for the techno-savvy 21st century classroom. However, this study still has some limitations. We just have small sample size, and the instrumentation is limited. In the future study, I will encourage to use much bigger, much larger sample size, and the triangulated data should be collected maybe through classroom observation and interview. Before I end my presentation, I want to share this quotation to you. We need technology in every classroom and in every student and teacher's hand because it's the pen and the paper of our time, and it's the lens through which we experience much of our world. That is the end of my speech. Thanks for your listening.
Thank you, Wan Min. All right. So we have another 30 seconds for question and answer. Do you have any questions from the floor? Yes? No? No question?
One question.
One question, yeah. Please.
What's your view on ChatGPT?
Oh, yeah, I was interested in this topic. I still chat with my friends, my tutors. I think ChatGPT also is challenging human's wisdom. But we as a maker of ChatGPT, we should learn how to train, how to control it. Because when we ask questions in ChatGPT, there is a kind of method. If you cannot control this kind of method, you cannot get the answer you require. So I think just like years ago, the machine eat people. Some people said that the AI will eat people, but I do not think so. Because we are human beings, we always control, we always try to design these AI tools. So we always be the winner. Yeah, thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, thank you very much, Ramin. So we thought we want to have you longer over here, but time is very much against us. So can we move to the next one? Thank you very much. Give a round of applause to Ramin. And can we welcome?
A very good afternoon. I bid to the chairperson, Professor Dr. Masron, ladies and gentlemen. Today, my co-authors and I are here to share with us a small portion of our FRGS project for a study entitled Sustaining Postgraduate Students' Quality Learning Environment, Reviewing Factors to Graduate on Time. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we are all aware, you and I are aware, before the age of information, higher education was, of course, the privy of a few scholarly elite couples. We witnessed the massification in the growth of postgraduate education, and even in Malaysia, we recorded a 70% increase over the 10 years. There is no denying that postgraduate education is required for nation building because postgraduate students are the catalyst to build a critical mass of knowledge workers, okay? And they can contribute. Alas, today, because of this great number, I think the learning environment of postgraduate education has changed, because today we see the cracks in the ivory tower. We as educators cannot turn a blind eye or a deaf ear towards what's happening in postgraduate education. And I, as a supervisor, can see this over the last 20 years of postgraduate supervision. At the global rates, okay, we face attritions and students' low completion. At the global rate, 60% of students fail to graduate on time. And I think we all know that normally 1 in 5 students of postgraduate in one public university drop out from the system. Now, this really causes a dent in our return of investment. So why is it so hard to graduate on time? And for that, I would like to call upon my co-presenter and student, okay, Miss Phoebe, okay, to move on to share with us the factors.
Well, numerous studies have been conducted on factors on postgraduate students' high attrition and low completion rates. For instance, researchers such as Carol, Muthukrishnan, and Teal summarize the factors as student, motivational, supervisory, and institutional factors. Student factors include students' readiness for postgraduate study, including competencies in reading, academic writing, digital literacy, and advanced research skills, whilst motivational factors include both an individual's or community's beliefs, values, and attitudes that may inhibit a student's participation. Next, supervisory factors include aspects such as supervisory practices, their roles, and competency. Finally, institutional factors include the processes, the procedures, the structures, and the politics within an institution. To date, there is, however, little evidence presented in the literature regarding learners' basic competencies and significant factors that affect their ability to achieve academic success. Therefore, the aim of this study was to investigate significant factors that influence postgraduate students' ability to graduate on time. And the first objective was to examine differences between students' perceived and actual performance in basic postgraduate competencies. Secondly, to determine which predictor variables significantly affect their ability to graduate on time. And thirdly, to identify significant differences in students' perceptions of institutional, motivational, student, and supervisory factors. Finally, to determine which predictor variables significantly influences learners' capacity to graduate on time. Allow me to move on next to the research methodology. This study employed a descriptive correlational research design with a mixed methods approach, where data were collected via a 3-pronged approach involving 3 competency tests, a questionnaire, and 5 focus group interviews. It was set in a private university and involved a group of 50 postgraduate candidates. Issues of validity, reliability, and ethical considerations were also addressed to establish greater credibility. In this study, graduating on time refers to postgraduate learners who had successfully defended their proposal within 1 and 1.5 years of study.
Thank you, Phoebe. Okay, allow me now to move on to the findings and discussion. Well, research question 1, it revealed that students overestimated their competencies in 3 basic competencies of critical reading, academic writing, and research skills. As we can see, there is a significant difference between their self-perceived and actual performance. This was also corroborated by the qualitative findings by the students in the 5 focus group of 20 students. They highlighted, including poor digital skills. Similar findings have also been articulated by the following researchers. Now, the second research question looked into which of these skills were significant predictors of graduate on time. And the result by Smart PLS showed that critical reading skills were the most significant effect on graduate GOT. And I think this resonates well with you and me, because we know that reading is the pillar of all learning. If students in postgraduate are able to effectively and critically read journal articles, they will learn how to write well in their thesis. Nonetheless, this finding was contradictory to findings done by Muthukrishnan et al. And Teo that conducted a similar study in a public university, and they found that research skills were the significant factor. Now, moving on to research findings in research question 3 that looked into the factors that affect ability. Now, students' self-perceived showed that overall student factors and motivational factors they felt were very important for them to graduate on time. These findings were similar with findings from other studies. Similarly, these findings were also corroborated by the focus group interview, where students articulated that they are motivated, they want to, it is important for their career development, and it's important to maintain a good working relationship. Now, looking into research question 4, which explored the predictor variable that makes contribution to GOT, the study found that actually all 4 were influencing factors. But nonetheless, deeper and further analysis using Smart PLS showed that actually supervisory practices were a very significant factor. Now, further analysis looking into supervisory factors, this study looked into their roles, their practices, and their competency. Now, in this study, we found out that supervisory competency has a direct relationship, direct effect on graduate on time, with practices and roles having an indirect effect. Now, this finding was also reiterated by the focus group interviews when student 2 highlighted, a student said, a supervisor is very important as she has good knowledge in research to show me what is right and wrong in my study so I can finish my thesis in time. In fact, all the 25 students in the were highly motivated, but to do that, they required a competent supervisor. Similarly, findings in Sidhu and Barudin, who found that not supervisory, but institutional and self-management factors were important. Now, let us now move on to what do these findings imply? Well, I'm sure we all cannot deny that these findings do contribute in terms of theory to the field of knowledge in postgraduate education. And well, in practice, we need to look into effective supervisory practices and the basic competencies of our postgraduate students of today. So this study showed that the students had limited basic competencies. So we recommend to have systematic and structured training programs to help them develop student competence. Likewise, postgraduate supervisors need to be provided training, and they need to remain as active researchers in their field of interest. And institutional factors, I think conducive learning environments are very important so that we can build learning communities. At the same time, students have asked for financial aid for seminars, for conferences, and for publications. And I think you and I are very familiar that the postgraduate student is always an adult student who is juggling between home, family, and work. Therefore, it is time for institutions of higher learning to look into effective counseling facilities, to look into the social and emotional well-being of postgraduate students, alongside teaching themselves and time management skills. Finally, to conclude, I would like to reiterate that to build a good quality learning environment in our postgraduate field, it is perhaps pertinent that we now, all of us, relook at the profile of the new 21st century postgraduate student and also their entry requirements, because many studies have shown that they lack in the basic competencies of reading, writing, research skills, and digital literacy. What we need perhaps is to look into a structured program that can take them from pedagogy to andragogy and heterogogy so that they become determined learners. They need to understand the bad news is they have time limit, but the good news is they are the pilot of their study and they need to take responsibility. Alongside, supervisors need to develop good relationships, build learning communities, and provide institutional support, because no one can deny that effective supervisors can take the students to incredible heights because they are the wind beneath their students' wings. So before I conclude, I would like to stress, of course, the findings of this study are limited as it involved a small group, and the findings had limitations in terms of data collection in terms of study. Nonetheless, I feel that this study has contributed to the field of knowledge, and I acknowledge here Ministry of Higher Education and Sege University for providing the FRGS grant. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I end my presentation and thank you for your kind attention and welcome any comments, feedback, and questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Purnam. And
yes,
actually exactly on time. So by the way, I give a 30 seconds if you have any question from the floor or virtually or over here. Anyone, please? Anyone?
Hello, my name is AMER from UITM. Your conclusion, what your conclusion is good supervisor will ensure GOT, right? I just wonder
yes.
whether you take into consideration the entry point of the students. Does it influence GOT, or did you take that as consideration, or just any entry point? I mean, the quality of the students before embark the program.
Yeah, I think it is time. Thank you. I'm sorry, can I repeat the question because the connectivity is not very good. Can I repeat your question? You're asking for what are the entry requirements?
Entry requirement into the program.
Okay, I think in most universities, we have entry requirements in terms of language. And I think in some, because I was serving in a public university, we used to interview, but I think in some universities, we no longer interview. And in some universities, we even give them a test. So I think it is time we look, because what they come with IELTS test is quite reasonable, it's quite questionable at times. They can claim to have an IELTS 7, but I think you and I are well aware that students who come with an IELTS 7 have difficulty in writing, and in fact, even in understanding English and understanding journal articles. So I think we need to look into the process of entry requirements so that we are able to, and because the floodgates are open now, we need to re-look into what actually do we want and better understand the profiles of the new postgraduate students so that we can take the necessary steps before they embark on their thesis writing.
All right, thank you for your opinion with regard to entry. Yeah, but really, the time is very much against us. Thank you very much, Ganam. And it was an excellent presentation. And can we give a round of applause to Ganam and Ali?
Thank you, and have an enjoyable conference. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. All right, we go straight into the next paper by Zhu Dan and Z Bin. P19, the title of the paper is Quality of Teachers' Life. Why do teachers leave the profession? Oh, there's a question over here. So, can you take the floor? Can you take the seat?
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Judan, and I'm a PhD student from Faculty of Education, Language, Psychology, and Music of Sege University, Malaysia. I have just finished my proposal defense, and the title of our study is Quality of Teachers' Life. Why do teachers leave the profession? This paper is accomplished by 3 authors, which is Judan, myself, and the professor, doctor from the Silpakorn University in Malaysia, which she's also my supervisor for my PhD. And the last author is Ms. Xie Qin from Doyang College of Urban Rail Transit, China, and she will finish this presentation with me. And I'm responsible for the first part, and she will finish the last part. So let's move to the background of the study. And in this study, we focus on the private higher education institutions in China. Why our study focus on this part? Let's look at the pie chart in this slide. As we can see the numbers of the higher education institutions in 2022, there are 1.37 million public higher education institutions in China, while the number of the private higher education institutions is 0.498 million, which means private higher education institutions account for more than a quarter of the whole higher education in China. And let's come to the number of teachers in the private higher education institutions in China. As we can see from the statistics from the previous years, the number of teachers in the private HEIs are increasing steadily year by year. Hence, if we want to understand the higher education of China, we need to know the private higher education. So, what's the problem with China's private higher education? According to the scholar Zhao and Zhou in 2022, an increasing number of teachers in private higher education institutions have the tendency to leave the educational sector, and the trend is going to continue in years to come. We also found evidence from literature that job satisfaction and occupational factors such as teacher workload will lead to the teachers' turnover issue. Next, in this study we have 3 objectives, and the first one is to determine the level of turnover intention of teachers in China's private higher education institutions. Number 2, to examine whether there are any significant differences in teacher turnover intention in China's private higher education institutions based on teachers' demographic factors. And number 3, to examine the relationship between job satisfaction and teacher turnover intention in China's private HEIs. And the scope of our study focused on the Sichuan province in China, and we can see from the map, which is located in the southwest region in this country. This is because a majority of private HEIs based on this province. So next, let's move to the literature review. In this study, we involved the 2-factor theory developed by Hesberg. And this theory held that there are 2 kinds of factors that determine the employee's job satisfaction, which are motivators, including recognition, sense of achievement, growth, and promotional opportunities, and responsibility, and work itself. And these types of factors will lead to job satisfaction, and another type of factors is hygiene factor. These factors will lead to job dissatisfaction, which include pay, company policies, and administrative policies, and etc. Based on this theory, we regroup our factors in this study into 2 types, which are personal factors and institution factors. In this study, we use a small sample size. This is because this is a preliminary study and a pilot study. So we use purposive sampling method to collect 100 teachers from different faculties in one private university in Sichuan province in China. Among them, 62 responses are usable in this study, and during the data collection process, we use WeChat to give the questionnaire to our respondents. And in the data analysis, we use descriptive data, independent sample t-test, and one-way ANOVA and Pearson correlation to achieve the 3 objectives in our study. Next, coming to the most important part in the presentation, which is findings and discussion. And as we can see, the first research objective of the study is to investigate the turnover intention of teachers in private higher education institutions in China. And among these 5 items, we can see, based on the mean value, the highest value is item 1, which is 3.6. This means that teachers have a relative high turnover intention, as we use a 5-point Likert scale questionnaire, and this value is quite high. And in these items, the lowest score is the item 5, which is 3.44, which means that more than half of the teachers have the intention to leave until they get another job. And next, let's come to the second research objective, which is to determine where there is a significant difference of turnover intention based on the demographic factors. And in this study, we include 7 factors in total. However, out of the 7, we found that 3 of the demographic factors are significantly related to the turnover intention, which are age, title, experience, teaching experience. This means that teachers with younger age and lower academic titles and less teaching experience, they are more likely to leave the teaching profession. Okay, next let's come to the third research objective of the study, which is to examine the relationship between job satisfaction and teachers' turnover intention. And as we can see from the results, we got the negative signs in this result, which means that there is a moderately negative relationship between the job satisfaction and the turnover intention, which means that teachers with a higher level of job satisfaction will predict a lower intention to leave. And also, this relationship is statistically significant. Next, I will pass the mic to my co-author, Ms. Xie Qing from China, to finish this presentation. Sorry, we cannot hear you. Can you speak louder? Yeah, can you please speak louder? Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me? Okay, yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, now, can I share? Can I speaking?
Okay, you can begin.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This is Xie Qing from the College of Urban Transit China. Now let's come to the conclusion part. In this paper, teacher turnover intention in private higher education institutions is examined. A pilot study that involves 62 teachers was conducted. Based on the results, the following 2 conclusions can be drawn. First one, low level of job satisfaction teachers. Teachers with lower academic titles and teachers with less teaching experience have a higher turnover intention. Then let's come to the recommendation part. Okay. According to this study, we provide the following three recommendations. First, more attention should be paid to female teachers as they account for more than half of the teaching staff in higher education institutions. Second one, strategies such as onboarding program, namely training program for new teachers, should be taken to retain novice academicians. Last one, educators and policymakers can help reduce teacher turnover and retain effective teachers by creating better working conditions. As for the future studies, it is recommended that larger sample size should be used. Besides, more private universities and colleges should be studied for better generalizability. This paper contributes to the understanding of teacher turnover and the quality of life of teachers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Chichin. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Yeah, sure. All right. So I just want to ask questions straight away from me. Is there any data that shows that the novice teachers, you mentioned, that they have more likely to live compared to those who have been seasoned in that particular AicQoL?
Actually, there are lots of studies found that novice teachers, they have the intention or sometimes actual behavior to live in different countries and also in the public higher education institutions. And in our study, based on our results, we also found there is the result also supports the previous studies.
Okay. All right. So thank you very much, and an excellent paper that you have presented. It's now from China, from Malaysia, and you are here in Bangkok. Thank you, and can you all give a round of applause to the presenters this afternoon.
Thank you, Prof.
Excellent. Later, outside, because time is very much against us. Otherwise, we are not going to have a meeting. All right, sorry. Okay, then can we go to the next presenter, Gao and Wang Wu, P20, paper 220, examining the phenomenon of juveniles' digital addiction in rural China.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Xin Xiang. It's my present to the Asian Quality of Life Conference on the study of juveniles' digital addiction in rural China. We conducted this study with Dr. Tila and Dr. Kimi, all at CK University, and Dr. Wu at Sanya University in China. My presentation has 6 parts. Start with the background of the study. China's rural areas have achieved full coverage of the internet. Those born after 05 have lived with those new products, technologies, and ideas since birth and are called digital native. Digital addiction escalates and hampers the harmony and stability of families and society. To help juveniles seize the internet healthily and avoid digital addiction, since 2014, China has implemented relevant legislation, and relevant research shows that the rate of digital addiction among rural journals is higher than in urban areas. Let's look at the exciting research on the digital addiction of rural journals. Scholars generally believe that using digital products from more than 4 hours a day or 13 hours a week can be considered digital addiction. They believe addiction is when users cannot find alternative to perform the same function. The users will compulsively and impulsively continue using specific software. And the behavior of guidance represented by persons and the model of getting along with journals significantly impact digital addiction. Besides on the analysis of the creator research status and the discovery of research gaps, this study answered two important questions. First, what are the awareness level of rural journals and their guidance about digital addiction? Second, what are digital addiction's characteristics and influencing factors among rural journals? In January and February, we conducted field research and interviews in rural China over 2 months and answered these two questions: the help and support of the local government in conducting the interviews made it possible to complete this study successfully. The first photo shows us conducting focus group interviews with the local government. The second photo shows the guidance of digitally addicted journals being interviewed in rural. This study included the primary guidance of rural journals in the scope of interview objectives and selected 16 respondents by combined simple software was used to conduct qualitative coding on the interview data, and relevant concepts were continuously extracted. Answer the first question. The congregation level of rural journals and their guidance on digital addiction is insufficient. To answer the second question, the characteristic and influencing factors of digital addiction among rural journals are namely as follows. In terms of digital products use, there are characteristics such as healthy substitution of digital products. Products source of products, multiple benefits of products, higher frequency of digital products exposure various types of products. The tendency for early exposure to digital products and controlledness of digital products use as detailed in the second table. The impact of digital addiction among rural journalists is strongly influenced by their digital products use and provision and control characteristics regarding future development, physical health, personality building, and social relationships, as coded in the through this research, we found that the problem of digital addiction should be solved through these aspects. First, affected by various factors, gardens and rural journalists have different starting points and goals for digital products and larger quantification and definition status for digital addiction. As a result, the guidance control effect on journalists' digital addiction is not good, or conflicted is an important reason. Second, in provision and controls, the leading guidance should take the initiative to shoulder the responsibility, communicate actively, and cooperate with the integrational guidance, schools, and cultural service providers to help journalists use digital products correctly. Third, the use of digital products by rural journalists is affected by changes in learning difficulty and time, changes in education policies, and changes in living and learning environments, leading to dynamic changes in the duration and concentration of digital products. Guidance, public libraries, and larger social factors should help rural journalists
Mr. Sejan, can you conclude the discussion?
Okay. Okay, and the habit of scientific and rational use of digital information. Contributions of the research. This research explores the phenomena of digital addiction for rural journalists, enrolls the exciting research and analysis the dimensions of representation factors and regression at the same time. It can also play a specific reference value for prevention and countering journals digital addiction. Finally, I hope that all the experts and scholars present here will pay attention to the problem of digital addiction to improve the quality of life of individuals, families, countries, Asia, and the world. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. So any questions from the floor or question from others as well? Any? Oh yeah, one.
Okay, thank you for your nice presentation. I just have one question, and I want to know during the interviews, how the interviewees show their low awareness of the digital addiction. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for the question. In the interviews with journals, the research found that some journals incited that they were not addicted, but their guidance said that their journals were already socially addicted to their smartphone. Family members and the family have in the country and country effect on journals digital addiction. In the interviews with interviewers, GC2, the GC2, this GC2 and SB2. The researcher learned that their use of digital products such as smartphones was often internally given to juveniles by their guardians as rewards. It was not until addiction problems surfaced that guardians become
Hello.
as
Hello. Can you short the answers on the question given by the question the one who asked? Can you conclude your answers very briefly?
Okay. Thank you. This but somehow time is somewhat hidden. This has also led to a higher progress of digital products. Okay, sorry.
Okay, never mind. I think you should have heard the answers given by Zheng Zhang. And I think, well, if any more question, then perhaps you can directly contact Zheng Zhang. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Nadan, and congratulations. That's started. All right. So we have to move to the next paper by Kim Ming Chong here. P21, the title is Examining the Well-being of Citizen Satisfaction, comparing smart cities in Malaysia and China. Yeah.
Oh, okay. From China. Okay, thank you.
A very good afternoon to the chairperson, Dr. Masran, and all the researchers here. Thank you to be here. So now I'm actually presenting on the topic of examining the well-being of citizen satisfactions, comparing smart cities in Malaysia and China. So because one of my fields actually in looking into smart cities, so when the hardware and software, when hardware is actually building on in the cities. So how about the software? So which is the well-being of the citizens? So in my teams, there will be Prof. Kita and also the students, Tobin Ran and also Lanish Ashlin, right? So then there will be parts of the presentation. So now let's invite Lanish to present on the background of the study and also literature review.
Thank you very much, Kimi. So good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Lanish from Massey University, Wellington, New Zealand, from the School of Communication, Journalism and Marketing. So the world population has continuously grown in urban and rural areas, totaling to 8 billion by mid-November 2022. And this year, the population in Eastern and Southeastern Asia is expected to be the highest percentage among all regions, with 2.35 billion or 29.2% of the world population. As economies of different countries shift to industrialization, many people from rural areas continuously migrate to urban areas. Urbanization happens when cities grow due to increasing percentages of the population moving to a city. And this leads cities to consume about 70% of global energy production and produce 80% of carbon dioxide emissions. Because of these challenges, the European Commission developed a sustainable urban model called Smart City. As we traverse the 21st century, populations in Malaysia and China will continue to grow. The urban areas in these countries, more popularly referred to as smart cities, will continue to increase in population and can pose several consequences for the urban dwellers. Considering the inevitable changes, this study aims to investigate and evaluate a scale that assesses whether citizens' well-being is promoted by developing a smart city consistent with SDG 3 on good health and well-being and SDG 11 on sustainable cities and communities. Specifically, this study aims to identify the factors that influence citizens' well-being and to examine the mediator effect of citizen satisfaction between smart public service, perceived smart infrastructure, perceived smart environment protection, and well-being in smart cities comparing the situation in Malaysia and China. So we did the series of literature review for our study, and we found that in Malaysia, the concept of a smart city is rooted in several policies and development plans that include the 11th Malaysian Plan, National Physical Plan 3, National Urbanization Policy 2, Malaysia Smart City Framework, Putrajaya Smart City Blueprints, Smart City Iskandar Malaysia, Green Technology Master Plan 2017 to 2030, and Low Carbon Cities Framework. Meanwhile, in China, several cities like Smart Nanjing and Smart Guangzhou adopted the Smart Beijing concept. With the introduction of the 12th Five-Year National Plan, the Chinese government proposes to accelerate digitalization-based development and construct a digital China to adapt to globalization. In the 5th section of the outline of the People's Republic of China, 14th Five-Year Plan for National Economic and Social Development and Long-Range Objectives for 2035. Using ICT, smart infrastructure offers unique qualities and connectivity that hasten the transition to social, environmental, and economic sustainability. The governing and administrative authorities can monitor, access, and control infrastructure services and natural resources through smart infrastructure's more user-friendly processes. Thus, we have our first hypothesis: perceived smart infrastructure has a significant influence on citizens' well-being. These smart gadgets are being used by many cyber-physical systems in smart cities, such as smart social security, smart healthcare, smart education, and smart construction services. And we have another hypothesis related to this, that is, perceived smart public service has a significant influence on citizens' well-being. Meanwhile, perceived smart environmental protection refers to the sophistication of urban environmental protection techniques, such as the use of smart technologies to reduce pollution emissions, monitor the environment, and simplify rubbish disposal. Hence, our third hypothesis: perceived smart environmental protection has a significant influence on citizens' well-being. A corpus of literature on civic governance with a focus on a city has developed because of expectations of worries about sophisticated ICT as an urban solution and includes a discussion of the people's pleasure. Hence, we hypothesize that perceived smart infrastructure, perceived smart public service, and perceived smart environmental protection has a significant influence on citizen satisfaction. And in addition, citizen satisfaction has a significant influence on citizens' well-being. So citizen satisfaction as a mediator significantly influences the relationship between perceived infrastructure and citizens' well-being, between perceived smart public service and citizens' well-being, and between perceived smart environment protection and citizens' well-being. So to talk more about methodology, may I return to Ms. Dr. Amy Chong.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Associate Professor Lenny Spa from New Zealand. So yeah, currently her time is actually 10:30. Okay, thank you for sacrificing your time. So let's continue with the methodology. So we actually distribute on the questionnaires. So we are using Google Form and also questionnaire star for China respondents. So we're able to have 239 usable questionnaire from Malaysia and also China. So then let's look into for the path analysis by using SmartPLS. So both from Malaysia, then we can see that the R-square is actually more than 0.5. Then same goes to China, right? So relatively lower compared to Malaysia bootstrapping results. So then we also run for the combinations of these two countries, which is Malaysia and then together with China. So then we found that the results based on the p-value and also the t-statistic here, we will see that we found that from these results here, which is different from our literature review, whereby for the smart infrastructure, our first independent variable, which is not significant towards the citizen, the well-being of the citizens, right? So meaning that for the hardware doesn't really reflect to the well-being of the citizens, as we know that most of the mental health and also the suicide rate is actually in the city. Like for example, in Malaysia, the highest rate is actually in KL and Selangor. So then we see that the infrastructure does not have any significant relationship to the well-being of the citizens. So point number one here, the perceived smart city infrastructure, public service and environmental protection, which are the the three independent variables in our research here, showing that because we actually run by using different country and also we have combination here, so does not show a significant relationship to the well-being. And next, when these dimensions are mediated by the citizen satisfactions, then the well-being would show a significant relationship, means that this mediator is actually important in this model. So then, in addition, enhancing the infrastructure will not lead to the well-being. So hardware doesn't really lead to the well-being. However, for the public service and also smart environment would have a more significant relationship towards the well-being with the mediating effects of the citizen satisfactions. So last but not least, the importance of smart city public service and also the environmental protection will directly affect the citizens' protection. So among these 10 hypotheses that we have, then we reflect back to our research objective. So last but not least, we will look into for the conclusion. So we will further to measures that the significant relationship between the citizens' level of satisfaction, which acts as the mediator, would be the main key that we will lead to the well-being of the citizens. And again, infrastructure does not have a significant relationship for both countries. And thirdly, the reductions of the pollutions and also the use of renewable energy also does not have a direct impact on the well-being of the happiness of the citizens. So meaning that we need to have the mediator effects of the citizen satisfaction in order to have the significant relationship to the well-being of the citizens. So both countries' citizens perceive that smart city, public service, and also environmental protection is significantly affect on the level of citizens. So meaning that out of 3 of our independent variables, 2 is actually having significant as the overall results. So the importance of systematic and also smart public service and environmental protection is actually to ensure the happiness and the satisfactions of the citizens. So this is the main findings of our research. So thank you. Thank you for Silpakorn University for finding this research, and also thank you for my team, Profita, and also Zobing Ran and Lennis. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, and a big round of applause to the presenters. And I'm very sorry that we cannot have this question here because we have already run out of by 2 minutes. So thank you very much. So we have to move to the next presenter, Mini Zhang. Yeah. Is paper P22 is the development of 15-minute commercial circle a boon or bane? Exploring its implication of citizens' quality of life in Zhengzhou, China. Yeah.
Dear Dr. Marie and other experts and teachers, good afternoon. I'm Minle Zhang from Zhengzhou, China. Studying at Silpakorn University, I will represent my team in the presentation. First of all, let me introduce my team. They are Kemi Chong from Silpakorn University in Malaysia, Jian Kunguo from University of Malaya in Malaysia, Xueyan Zhang from Henan Mechanical and Electrical Vocational College in China, and Meiyu Ji from Shunde Vocational College in China. Our research topic is a development of 15 minutes commercial circle point of view, exploring its implications on citizens' quality of life in Zhengzhou, China. We introduced research on the 15 minutes commercial circle in my hometown of Zhengzhou, China, due to the large population and many communities. Along with the continuous development in recent years, different commercial circles of varying size have emerged around each community to cater to people's daily lives. However, the impact of establishment and development of these commercial circles on the community's people has lacked relevant theoretical data to support. Our research upholds the principle of providing a theoretical basis for the better development of commercial circles. We contributed research on the development of commercial circles and residence certification and selected representative individuals for interviews to obtain the latest thoughts and ideas and make target recommended. So data and literature research, it's easy to find that the concept to living circle was first proposed in Japan, and China has experienced repeat development in recent years. With the continuous improvement of infrastructure construction, living circles with Chinese characteristics have gradually formed. To better understand the characteristics of Chinese living circles, we conducted online interviews like WeChat or cell phone with 15 residents of different age, but all of them above 25 years old, who living in Zhengzhou, China, ensuring that each interview lasted no less than 40 minutes. Through the interviews, we found that the formation of living circles has brought three typical phenomena to residents. First of all, it saves residents living costs, such as transportation and time costs, because residents do not need to spend extra transportation cost and a lot of time to like shopping or dining. Second, it enriches residents' life experience, especially in terms of dining. With a large number of restaurants of different grades in the common store circle, residents can choose the corresponding restaurant according to their actual needs. And these restaurants are all within a 15-minute living radius that common store circle bring to residents' lives. However, we found a third phenomenon that is not a good one. The noisy and light population generated by common store circle affects residents' normal lives. And the construction of common store circle reduces the air of like green spaces or parks, seriously affecting residents' green life, especially older residents. Based on the three phenomena we discovered, we reached the following conclusions. When planning common store circles, the government should consider the distribution of the population more and plan or construct common store circles in communities where young people account for a large proportion. This can save the young people's living costs and enrich the young people's lives, maybe like dining choice. However, in area where older people account for a large proportion, it may be appropriate to reduce the construction of common store circles, which will affect the normal life and green life of older people. We hope that our research conclusions will provide reference for future urban planning. Finally, regarding future research directions, our team believes that we can choose other cities with similar urban scale to Zhengzhou, such as Wuhan in China, for investigation and research. Additionally, it would be better to combine questionnaires to provide more accurate conclusions. We would like to thank the fund support by this college. Thank you very much for your attention. This is the end of my presentation.
Thank you, Dan. I still will got some time for question and answers. Then can any one of you would like to ask anything? Yeah, please.
Thank you for your nice presentation. I am also staying of 50 minutes convention cycle in Guangzhou. I am interested to know what is the greatest findings for your research that would benefit us.
Guangzhou is a similar city like Zhengzhou. So all the have 15-minute circle, and I think for my research, I just thought that the best finding is maybe 15 concert circle is the best. It's better to young people, but it's not very well to older people. Thank you.
Any more question? Very interesting paper. Yeah, you still got time? Yes. Sure.
Can you describe how the 15-minute commercial circle is like? I think
Because I don't think we have it in Bangkok or in Thailand, so I'm curious to see or understand how it is like.
Okay. 15 commercial circle is I use the easily language. Okay. If around your house or around your apartment, you can walk to somewhere under the 15 minutes, like restaurant, some shops, school. Yeah.
so.
It's a circle.
Are they grouped together in like a community mall? Is it the same as community mall? Or?
Somewhere maybe is a community mall, but not everywhere. Maybe it's just your house, and around your house, under 15 minutes you can walk to. It's a circle around your house, not a mall.
Yeah, it's very interesting paper, and I think many of you are very much interested to know a lot more than this. But well, time is against us again, and thank you very much, Minazan. Thank you, congratulations. All right. And then we go to the next one, the last two papers over here. We have Sazwani Abdul Kadir, B23, a paper entitled Spatial Perception and Existential Senses of Being in a Place. Yeah, shall we welcome Sazwani?
Thank you. Hello and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shazwani Abdul Kadir from School of Architecture and Interior Architecture, College of Built Environment, UITM, Malaysia, together with Trudia Wilasprina from the Faculty of Art and Design, Universiti Trisakti, Jakarta, Indonesia, would like to present our paper titled The Spatial Perception and Existential Senses of Being in a Place. Okay. As for the background, the decrease in architectural experience and appreciation seems to contribute to the poor design of the recent built environment. And then, with digital technology becoming a dominant tool of communication and lifestyle, many people tend to overly immerse in the virtual experience of a place without actually being there. With those issues, this research aims to explore the pattern of spatial perception and existential senses of being in a place from the interior architecture students' point of view. And the objective is to investigate the most frequent aspects being indicated in a spatial experience narrative of being in a physical space. So basically, we would like to see what are the aspects consisted in spatial experience. Okay, as for the literature review, basically what it's saying is people-place connection is important to individuals' life because with that we will gain a sense of belonging to the place, community, and the present moment. And then to create the relationship between people and place, we need to be in that place physically. So from the environmental psychology approach, an individual's spatial perception can only be acquired by experiencing it in situ. In situ means being in the place. Alright. For the spatial perception and essential senses, human spatial experience is a thinking process where sensing space allows exploration, resistance, and criticism through the materiality or embodiment of the architecture, meaning that to gain spatial perception, we need the physical elements, the embodiment, the materiality. Okay. And then as for the existential senses, the various human senses are the most essential factor in a spatial experience, thus resulting in the people-place relationship. And now I would like to pass the microphone to my co-author, Patricia, who's online now.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The methodology, the study employed a qualitative method of non-verbal interview, which was retrieved from the spatial experience portfolio composed by second-year interior architecture students of a higher learning institution in Malaysia. The non-verbal interview data were analyzed through thematic analysis. Significant statements from the respondent were tabulated into different aspects of spatial experience, accompanied by the related keywords mentioned by respondent. Okay. The thematic analyzes the spatial experience based on the respondent narratives are the physical, social, and sensoric attribute. The finding physical attribute aspect is design accessible concept and style, natural light, open space, double volume, materiality, indoor plants, color and design scheme. And finding of social attributes aspect is a visual connection, diverse occupants, friendly, welcoming, gathering, socialize, vibrant community, sitting, conflict, interaction. And finding of sensory attributes aspect is acoustic, noise, sense smell, sense of calmness, thermal comfort, breathable, calming ambience, comfort, peaceful, warm light, cozy, and music, nostalgic.
All right, thank you, Bu Atria. As for the discussion, so basically the findings of physical attributes aspect resonates with recent literatures that highlights embodiment or physical values in architectural identity and spatial perception. And then the social attributes emphasizes human needs for a sense of belonging and community through the occupants' engagement in the social activities within the space. And lastly, the sensory attributes signify that a huge part of spatial perception or spatial experience relies on existential senses so that the respondents will be able to feel the space. Okay, as in this conclusion, this study proposes the physical, social, and sensory attributes as the thematic components in the in-situ spatial experience process. The study also demonstrates that human touch is much needed into this architectural design as it nurtures mental and emotional health through spatial perception and existential senses. These are our responses. With that, thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you, Saswani and Atrida. Well, we still have quite an ample time for question and answers. Can we start off with anyone who would like to ask any question? Yes.
Thank you for your good presentation. But I would like to know more about the research setting of your study. Can you tell me more about that? Is that the virtual environment or the real environment?
Oh, the setting. Okay. So, the method is actually it's in the paper because I shortened it for the slides. The students, the next 67 students, were asked to select a public place that and then visit, spend some time there, and really like experience, and then go back home and write their narrative on their special experience of that space or place. So those 67 students have different places that they went to. So with that, we analyze those narratives and see what are the patterns that they were looking at or experienced in that place, which then that we come to the conclusion: the physical elements, the social, and also sensory attributes. Okay.
All right, good. Yeah, any more questions? Yeah, one.
Hello. Hello, Salvani. Okay, maybe you focus on the interior, right? The enclosure, because
Yes.
it's marked.
The space.
Yeah, the space. So, because it's not touched on the scale, does the scale, the volume will influence? And another thing is on the infrastructure, talking about the mechanical things. For example, you have air conditioning, or is it natural lighting, natural ventilation, or there's certain limitation, or is it open?
Yeah, no limitation, but inside a building is encouraged. But from what the students have submitted, all of them choose a building, a public building, such as mall, what else? Art center.
But it's under controlled climate. I'm talking about air condition.
Yeah, yeah. Which thank you for your suggestions. We'll consider that variables in the future.
Any more questions? So meaning that the students actually were given free kind of choice as far as the setting is concerned or the building is concerned.
It's clearly said to be a space and preferably inside a building.
Right, inside a building. Yeah, meaning that you focus on the interior of the buildings rather. And any more? Otherwise, I'm going to have another question. That's no, that's you're preparing for your next presentation. All right. So my last question: since the students are very much novice I mean, in understanding the aspect of design, how you actually, do you think that in the future, if you were to compare between those with very little experience in design, when maybe the other group will be those who have already gone through the process of understanding design, do you think that it would be meaningful to conduct that kind of study?
I think to have more experience in architectural field people would be biased because they are of course wiser and they are more romantic in experiencing a space. So that's why I'm saying it can be like biased.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Give a round of applause to Saraswati.
Thank you everyone.
And Aditya Vilastrina. All right. Okay. Then.
Assalamualaikum. Very good evening. Thank you, Chairperson. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, so hopefully the last will be the first. Okay. But anyway, so I'm glad to be here. Before I proceed with my presentation, I would like to thank AMER as a committee, because this conference can be a very significant platform, especially for academicians and researchers, to publish and to share the most recent findings, because we need to publish and we need to share our findings as immediate as possible. So this is where I am today to share with all of you the revised development of LEO or SKIP on workers' mental health status. So 2 previous papers was presented in Langkawi and Cerating last year and year before. So these recent findings is actually very important, where we have 3 highlights, and we want to inform others as well as readers that there are slightly changes in the previous findings. And I believe from yesterday, this morning, and until the last paper, there are many gaps in the research that we are looking forward for new findings and new updates. So perhaps we can use AMER platform as one of the platforms to share our recent findings as immediate as possible. Okay, so these are my teams. So unfortunately, Khairil and the rest are unable to make it. They are still in the Hari Raya mode, as all know that, and we're back in Kuala Lumpur. So this is actually the assessment tools that we use. Unfortunately, this is in Bahasa Melayu. Okay, early on this session, I did share some experience with other speakers that if you are interested to collaborate with us, we can look forward to translate into maybe Thai, Cantonese, or Mandarin languages. Okay, because this assessment will be launched end of this year, and inshallah it will be used as one of the national guidelines in Malaysia to measure what are the mental health issues among Malaysian workers. So we know that mental health issue is very, very critical, and it contributes a lot to the quality of life of our workforce. Okay. All right. So my background, I am an occupational therapist. So working as a therapist and a lecturer, of course, at the same time, we're dealing with a lot of human people. So it is very important for us to investigate, to do assessment, correct assessment, especially in medical and health sciences, to identify what are the critical things, what are the root cause of our patient or our client. So that is one vital. So as an occupational therapist, we use a lot of assessment, a lot of screening tools. And that screening tools usually will be one-to-one basis. Okay, and that assessment tools is very, very important tools to early detection process. So we do involve in return to work. Okay, this is one of the area of specialty in our profession. So we deal with people who are having issue or problems in their work environment. So we did develop this assessment. In English, we call it LEO, likelihood of environment and occupation factors that contribute to mental health issue in workplace, or in Bahasa we call it SKIP. Okay, so this is a screening tools that future will be used in Malaysia to identify the work environment and then work activities that contribute to mental health issues among workers. Okay? So perhaps these training tools can be shared with other countries, because this is simple, straightforward, and easy to administer. Okay, let's see what a few literatures have mentioned about the psychosocial risks. Okay, in general, this is about stress at the workplace. So we all know that everybody, since even long before COVID, we do experience a lot of burnout, stress, and in fact, numbers of workers, manpower with depression has been increased drastically, not only in Malaysia, but I think this is a worldwide trend. So it is very important to tackle this issue as early as possible, because this contributes to significant impact on quality of life as well as the productivity of the workers. Okay, so proper management is very important, but the most important thing in the process of managing the psychosocial risk is to identify the root cause or to measure the risk itself. So this is where the studies embark, and we work together with Department of Occupational Safety and Health in Malaysia. Okay, so we believe that, and according to the literature, the first step is to identify the risk, and then later on we can develop the proper education or management of the psychosocial risk. So all the policies, all the intervention should be based on the initial findings or based on the assessment that we want to develop. So the objective for our papers this time is actually we want to report, okay, the recent findings from the previous two papers. We want to give suggestion and few improvement that we managed to collect for the last 12 months. Okay, so there are three things that we want to share all audiences. Okay, we have conducted the knowledge-based transfer program. So this is one of the critical program before any guidelines can be used in Malaysia, I think in other countries as well. So we have a knowledge transfer program so that the guideline, the information, the assessment, everything needs to be shared with the stakeholders as well as the industrial players, so that they will get early information about what is going on. So I will share this feedback. And then second one, we have a new table. Last paper we have M3 table, if any of you have read that papers previously. But now we have a new table, we call it a workplace psychosocial risk table. So this table is easy to administer, so that we can, perhaps people can we use a color coding, red, green, and yellow. So it's much easier to administer. Later on I will show you that. And then last one is we managed to conduct an industrial survey. So I will show you how it's looked like and how, as a case manager or maybe employer, to manage your workers' issue. So the method, okay, prior to the KTP program, so we used the ISO document that has been published in 2018 and 2021. So 2021 is the most recent ISO document that highlighted the psychological health and safety at the workplace. And this has been published prior to the COVID pandemic. So the International Labour Organization is aware that the psychosocial issue is a burning issue, especially during the COVID pandemic. So these are the list of the industries that is has been surveyed. So we have 20 industries in Malaysia, and I think we do share the same coding in other countries as well. And then from that KTP program, we collect all the feedback, and I will show you the result of the feedback. So this is our gap analysis. Okay, what are the international issues related with psychosocial risk factors among workers in the workplace? And we can see that in Malaysia international context, okay, we are having an issue about the national legislation. Okay, so it is very clear cut if you have a physical hazard like slip, trip, and fall. So there are very clear case management and medical surveillance action. But with regards to the mental health issues, we are still lacking in terms of the national plan of action in addressing those issues. But luckily, last year, our government has revised the new OSH, Occupational Safety and Health Act, amended 2022, where it puts the clause of risk assessment as one of the compulsory action need to be taken. So that is why our government will try as much as possible to launch this assessment as well as the guideline, so that all the employer will take action as early as next year. Okay, so this is the result. So this is one of the 3 results that I promised. Okay, so we conduct the knowledge. This is an online 2 days online knowledge transfer program involving 39 case managers from all Malaysia. So there are 15 items that we survey. First is about the content. Okay, so we asked about the content, the suitability, and the understanding of the information that put into the document. So the rating actually 1 to 5. 1 is less agreed and 5 is very agreed. As you all can see that all scoring mean score. Okay, this is a mean score. All mean score is actually above 4. So above 4 shows that it's very agreeable and can be acceptable. And interestingly, number 15, okay, we propose that for a person to conduct this assessment, because this is related to mental health issue, it's a sensitive issue. We deal a lot with confidential kind of information. So our participant agreed that 74% agreed that respondent from this KTP, they want to have an examination. Okay, so person who can get the license need to pass the exam as well as the coursework assignment. So this can be one of the competent certification later, okay, in the future. Okay, so 74.4% of our respondents agreed that yes, with regard to mental health, so there's no compromise. So you need to be trained to be able to do the assessment. But I think you are very fortunate that since I am one of the developer of this guideline, so feel free to communicate with us, to email us if you want to get to know further about this guideline. Okay, so this is the new result, okay, updated result. As you can see that in previous publication, this table is actually in yellow color. Okay, but now, so the recent publication, inshallah, will publish end of next month, so it turned to green. Okay, why this is important? Because now the risk has been changed from medium to low. Green is low, yellow is medium, red is high. That's the traffic light coding that we use. So this is one of the update that that we want to publish, so that if anybody want to refer to the journals or our publication, so they can use the most recent table, risk table. Okay, so this is no longer yellow color. Okay, now it's changed to green. Similarly with the second table as well. Okay, and okay, this is the result of our survey. Okay, so we use the color coding. So without knowing all the alphabet in the box, you can have a guess. Okay, if it is a red color, we know it is high risk, so we need to take immediate action. So this is 7 employers that contribute, and one of the employers score yellow. That means the company needs to do changes in terms of addressing the psychosocial risk and workplace. But alhamdulillah, the rest of the company, okay, 6 others score G is good, E is excellent. So they are very good. So they are taking care of their workers in a good way. Okay, and this is an individual score. So this is the respondent number. So because this is confidential, so we just use a number coding. So we can see that there are few potential high risk workers. Okay, respondent number 7, this one is number 11. Okay, 11. So we can see that everybody in the red color needs for immediate action. So this will help the employer as well as the medical officer to look and to screen who are the person who fall under the category of high risk, medium risk, or low risk. So generally green is low risk, so not for the action. But using this new table, even though you have hundreds of workers, you can easily look into the red color first, followed by yellow as well, and later on green. Okay, so this is another third update that we want to share with all of you. Okay, as my final slide here, the conclusion and recommendation. We do agree that when we talk about the psychosocial as well as mental health, it is changing over time. Okay, remember that the presentation about DAS21, so the score will change every 2 weeks. In fact, every day. Okay, we know it's very difficult to measure, but we believe this can be used to predict. So we can predict what will happen next. If you are happy, so probably you will be happy in the next few weeks, few months. Okay. So number 2, norm table is required for different type of industry. All right. And number 3, data processing that we currently have is manual transfer. Okay, we need to transfer from Excel into the calculator. So we are looking forward for collaborators as well as investors as well to develop an apps, okay, applications, so that it will be automatically send the result to the respondent who answer the survey or the assessment. Okay, now if you fill in the survey, so we need to email the scoring to the individual that fill in the assessment. But later, if you have the application, so you will get an immediate effect. So you will know that you are fall under the category of green, yellow, or red. So with all that, thank you very much and stay healthy. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you. Very interesting paper, mentally stable by now.
Yes.
Any question? I think there was a question with regard to this particular paper. It's very interesting. Anyone, please? Otherwise, I have a lot of questions.
Yes, bro.
Please. Yeah. All right. So, Gus, I think I will ask you personally because time is very much against us.
Yes,
right now,
yeah.
I've been I've been always reminded that I'll be, we have to finish on time because of the next AGM coming. By the way, it has been a very, very good session this afternoon with the cooperation from everyone. I would like to apologize that sometimes we have to be very stern with regard to timing because of the time. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much, every one of you. We had a very, very interesting papers, everyone. I just cannot summarize in a very short, but it covers so many different disciplines, so to call, from smart city to mental health to existential faith, and what else? Smart city is very interesting, but we can have further discussion maybe during our dinner tonight. Yeah, and with that, I would like to close this session, break number 3, and thank you very much. And we give a round of applause to ourselves for being very patient and excellent participants over here. Thank you very much. And we shall be doing it again during dinner. I think everyone, most of you will be with us during dinner. All right. Okay then. Bye bye.